Entrepreneurs are taught that nearly every business problem can be solved with more effort, a better strategy, or another expert telling us what we should do next. But what happens when the business is growing, the strategy appears sound, and you're still exhausted, hesitant, or unable to move forward? Sometimes the obstacle isn't the business plan. It's buried beneath years of pressure, fear, disappointment, and beliefs we may not even realize we're carrying. Today's guest believes that many successful entrepreneurs aren't suffering from a lack of ambition or information. They're running into invisible internal barriers that achievement alone can't remove. Welcome, or hopefully welcome back to The Reluctant Entrepreneur. My guest today is Curtis McCullom, founder of Bespoke Human Potential Coaching. Curtis is a human potential coach who works with entrepreneurs, executives, and other growth-minded leaders to identify the patterns that may be limiting their confidence, decision-making, and ability to grow. Curtis brings more than 3 decades of experience as a speaker, trainer, coach, sales professional, and business leader. His training includes executive coaching, clinical hypnotherapy, neuro-linguistic programming, and mental and emotional release techniques. Through his proprietary LGET mindset, which stands for learning, growing, expanding, and transforming, Curtis combines personal development practices with practical leadership and sales coaching. His work is built around the idea that people often don't need another generic formula. They need an approach tailored to the experiences, beliefs, and challenges they're carrying. His company's program focuses on helping leaders recognize blind spots, align their decisions with their values, and address the internal resistance that can occupy professional growth. And it all begins right now. Stick around. Curtis, welcome to the show. I'm very excited to have this conversation with you today.
Well, Mike, after that opening, I'm like, wow, who is that guy he's talking about there?
You're impressed.
Like, wow.
You're impressed with that guy.
I was impressed with that guy. I'm like, wow, I want to meet him. I really want to talk to this guy and see what he's all about, right? And I really appreciate you having me on the show and having an opportunity to kind of share with the world what we do and how we do it, man.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you're excited to share it. I'm excited to learn more about you. But before we get into all that and discuss the work that you do today, take us back to the beginning. What experiences shaped your interest in human potential, leadership, and personal transformation? What brought you here, Curtis?
Wow. I mean, really, this journey has been about almost 40 years now. Quite 40, about 35 plus years, where I wanted to be a sales trainer. Back in the day, was a sales trainer or motivational speaker. I came from a family. My father was a fire and brimstone preacher, so I had that kind of fire anything in me. And I wanted to be a motivational speaker and sales trainer. So that's why I went to work. I started in sales at a company called Independent Order Foresters, where less than 18 months, I was the number 1 salesperson in the world in their company. And that's kind of where I got my start. That's where I practiced neuro-linguistic programming. I practiced self-hypnosis, and all of those things kind of made me who I am today. So that was the journey, but it took me almost 35 plus years to make it here, where I finally started to just focus on transformation and helping other individuals become the best version of themselves.
Your father was saving souls. You were saving companies and people. The apple didn't far from the tree, Curtis.
No, it does not. It does not. It's like, I've always had a passion of helping people, and I've always had a passion of becoming the best. And so I've always did research and study and figured it out. Back in the day when we started, way back when, we didn't have, all this digital stuff that they have today. We had cassette tapes. And so what I used to do, I had a university on wheels, according to Brian Tracy, right? Where I sat and I listened to Brian Tracy, Dennis Waitley, Tom Hopkins, Zig Ziglar, all the great Jim Rome and Tony Robbins, all these guys, Les Brown. I just used to have these guys in my car. So 68 hours a day, I'm pumping myself up with all of this information on how to become the best.
Yeah, that's awesome. You spent many years working in sales and leadership before creating Bespoke Human Potential Coaching. That's a long business name, by the way. I had to look at it twice. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Am I starting a new sentence here? No, we're still talking in the name of the company. What did that part of your career teach you about the difference between outward success and what someone may be expecting internally?
Well, what happens is that even for myself, I always use myself as an example because most of us are successful. I've been successful practically all my life. Well, I've had successes
Yeah.
all of my life. And so even one of the biggest ones I had was when I became number one in the world. Think about it. I was a young kid, didn't know anything about sales, went into a training session, got in front of the class, gave them my number one speech, not ever selling or really a product before then, told them what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. In 18 months, I did it. So that was a lot of success. Then what happens is our internal being, who we truly are, starts to surface when we have success, because we cannot go any higher than our capacity. And if you have baggage, what I call emotional baggage, that we're carrying, is going to eventually catch up with you, and you're either sabotage or you're kind of go back down. So that's kind of what happened to me. I came number one, and then I tell the people the stories like, because of my baggage, some of the things that I was taught as a child, and some of the things I experienced, and some of the things the way my father kind of interacted with me, my sales manager, start to mirror some of those things. And I'm like, okay, I got to get out before I get hurt. That's my baggage. And so I quit. On the day we were celebrating me on stage in front of 1,000+ people, where I'm being celebrated as being number one. I dropped the mic and says, I quit. I'm not going to do this anymore. So that's baggage, meaning like we have successes, and when we have emotional baggage, sooner or later it catches up with us because we like sabotage. We go up, we get it to a certain point, and then we kind of correct, because that internal being is in control and not who we think we are.
So that moment when you said you quit, was that the genesis of your company, or did that lead to the next step that led to the genesis of your company?
That didn't lead to the genesis of my company. Really and truly, it took, after that incident, it's interesting because I was on a podcast the other day, and it seems like that was the genesis, like, oh, wow, that was the thing. For me, what I tell individuals in my coaching is that was a significant emotional event that I can remember really clearly. I thought that was the genesis of who I became, right? It was not. So now, 35 years later, I started Bespoke Human Potential Coaching. And when I started the coaching company, I got a certification as an executive coach. I hated it. I'm like, oh, man, if this is coaching, I don't want to be a part of it, because that's not me. That's not the way I became successful, or sitting across somebody more cognitive, like, okay, how was your week this week? Okay, what happened? I'm like, what the hell? I mean, that's not me.
Yeah.
So that's when I went back to my roots and the authentic who I am. I got a certification as a clinical hypnotherapist. I got a certification in neurolinguistic programming as a master practitioner, and also mental and emotional release. Those are the tools that I used to use as a salesperson. Now, fast forward, now I'm coaching individuals. I'm making individuals, I'm helping them transform their lives. And I still saw myself like having this mental or this internal voice saying that success is hard and difficult. Wow, success is hard and difficult. And it kept running. And I'm like, okay, I'm successful, but it feels like I was always holding back a little bit because I felt it was going to be hard and difficult. Well, what I did, Mike, was I contacted one of my buddies. His name, I'll call him Coach Kevin. He did a mental and emotional release session on me. And mental and emotional release takes about 10 minutes or less. And what we determined was that script that it was running, it was hard and difficult, started when I was around 2. And we did the session, finished it. I called my mom. I says, Mom, what was happening with me around 2? She says, oh, I was trying to potty train you around 2. And guess what? This is her words. I didn't tell her what happened. She says, oh, and it was hard and difficult for you. So the same words that I've been using now for 35 years, success, failure, success, failure, success, failure, and now still this block, is the same language that my mom used when she described what I was experiencing when she was trying to potty train me. When I share that story with individuals to let
Isn't
them
it funny
know
how that phrase stuck before you can even comprehend what that meant? That got in you, right? That was a seed, a negative seed in this case, but
absolutely right. And that's the thing. I love what you just said, Mike. Is like it's a seed. Most of the time, when we are operating, our operating system, our mental operating system is running. We don't even know the script.
Right. We're the last to figure that out.
Right. We think we know, right? But we still keep hitting these roadblocks that's like, but I don't know what it is. I want to make 6 figures. I get almost there, I don't. I want to break to 7 figures. I get almost there, but I don't. Then I'm trying to interact with my employees, and I'm always harsh. What is it that's driving that behavior? Most of the time, guys never stop to figure out what it is. And that's what happens is that we're running these programs. So now, fast forward 35 years later, me starting this company, I finally figured it out for myself. I didn't even know that was the program that was running. This is the catch, though. Now, when I'm looking back, I can see it.
Isn't it funny how perspective works?
Absolutely.
I started my company 34 years ago, 1992. And looking back, I did not realize this at the time. Looking back, there were all these events over a decade and a half, maybe 2 decades, that led me to make the decision to start the company. To me, they were all solo, siloed events, random, disconnected. Looking back, I'm like, holy crap. That led to this, led to that, led to this, like a pinball in a pinball machine bouncing off the bumpers. It leads somewhere. And what seemed random in the moment with perspective and altitude were very obviously connected. I was just too deep into it. I couldn't see the forest from the trees, right? So that one event where you quit was an ingredient that would lead you to where you are now.
And it was not, and this is the thing about it is that it was not the event, all right? It's like there was an event that when I tell my clients, it was a very significant emotional event. And sometimes when people come to me for help, they tell me about the significant emotional events, what we call issues, right? I'm not looking at the issues. The issues are not the problem. What's the problem is what we call the greater problem. What is actually driving that behavior? What is it that's actually stopping you or creating these incidents where you are, you can't, your vision is not focused. These little things that are happening in your company, or you don't feel like you're good enough or worthy, or now you're overworked and stressed out and you're scared to stop and take a break because of the fact that if I stop, I'm going to lose everything. All of those thoughts and those feelings, what is driving that behavior? Because that's not the problem. And most coaches, they look at that as the problem. So they attack, you are procrastinating. So let's write down a goal and let's focus on not procrastinating. Well, after a while, you can force it with the 5%. And guess what? The behavior is going to come back because you didn't fix it. Yeah. Basically, what we do is we take the 95% of our behavior and go in, and then we retrain it so that now it works very efficient.
Many new entrepreneurs struggle to translate years of experience into clearly defined service.
Right.
How did you determine who you wanted to help, and what made your approach different from the many other coaching programs available? I mean, you spent a lot of years in the car listening to Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and all the rest of, very accomplished, very successful people.
Right.
You created something unique.
Yes.
Tell me about that journey.
Yeah, and that's when, like I said, when I started coaching, when I started actually coaching, right? It was like almost 6 years ago now. When I took my first certification, I said, wow, this is not me. And in order for me to be me, I decided to be authentically Curtis. Let people see what I do, they like it or not, and then they decide whether or not they want to work with me. And so what makes me different is the fact that I knew that cognitive coaching is effective, but is not effective or very, very efficient over a long period of time. And so what I wanted to do was utilize the same technology and science that got me where I was to the masses. So that's why I got a certification as a clinical hypnotherapist. I got a certification as a master practitioner in neurolinguistic programming and a master practitioner in mental and emotional release. And then about a year or two ago on this journey, I determined I was asking God, that's my name for my source. Yours could be something different. It's okay, guys. It's just a label. I was asking God, what is this thing all about? And what I came up with after reading a book called Many Lives, Many Masters, it was all about learning, meaning all the experiences that we have, good, bad, or indifferent, setbacks, heartbreaks, and failures. It's all about what can we learn from that. And that's where the genesis or the birth of the legit mindset, that everything that we experience is all about getting a learning from it. And if we can learn something from it, we can grow. If we can grow, we can expand. If we expand, we can transform. But the beauty part about that is not a linear growth. It's not a linear path. It's more of a circular or like a cone side, because every time we grow and we transform, we go to another level and another level and another level. And that's what the challenge is. Sometimes people stop growth because of the fact that they get complacent in who they are and what they're doing, and they stop the process. But the process is an ever ending process. It's always a process that keeps going.
As the author Jim Collins stated, the enemy of great is good. And I remember when I first started my company, I bootstrapped my company, started in my garage, and charged up all our credit cards, drained our bank accounts, begged, borrowed, and practically stole, just to keep the company alive. And we had several of the first years that were just miserable. It was really difficult, but I was young or younger and stubborn, and I had an ego, and I was arrogant and naive, and so you just keep bull in a china shop, man. You just keep going forward, and eventually the company got to the point where it was doing good, and I wanted to stop there. I made a conscious decision. Okay, forget great. I'm happy with good. I'm happy we don't suck anymore, right? To not suck is an amazing relief. The drama, the cash flow crunches, the empty promises to vendors, all that stuff. I didn't have to do that anymore. We were doing good. We were doing all right. And I did not want to risk good for the chance of being great. I was very comfortable with good. The problem is, just like the famous quote in the movie, good isn't good enough, right? At some point, I refer to the business gods, totally metaphorically. The business gods are twisted little guys, right? They will start raising the water level. And if you're not increasing your buoyancy, to use this metaphor, you will eventually drown. And staying good is staying in place. And staying in place is not growth. And without growth, the business will consume you. The business will outgrow the founder, which is why 80% of all businesses statistically fail. I don't think business is inherently risky. I think founders are inherently risky. We grow to a certain point, and then for some reason we're comfortable, good enough, and we stop growing, and the business is on a trajectory, and the business scales beyond the founder, and that's why businesses fail. Many times, that's why they fail.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on what you just talked about, Mike, is the reason they stop is not cognitively, right? On the outside, we said we still want to be good, we still want to make money, but this is what happens with internally. They've reached a point where we call homeostasis, right? It's like their brain has a thermostat, and you can't not have immeasurably more. Your universal capacity principle, my universal capacity principle works like whatever we think, ardently desire, and think about immeasurably more we get. The catch to that, it goes both ways. What happens to most founders is that the reason they stop is not because of the fact of part of it is fear, and that fear is the unknown. And our subconscious mind hates unknowns.
Yeah.
It hates unknown. It likes things that are familiar. So we stay in a familiar situation much longer than we want to, not because that we don't know better, not because we don't have strategy, not because we're not motivated. Is that part of our mind needs to be rebooted, needs to be expanded so that it now can catch up to who we are now, right now, in the moment.
Yeah, I think human nature is to fear change, right? And even
yeah,
if we're not
So
totally satisfied where we are, it's what we know, right? It's
what we
the
know.
devil you know, then versus the one we don't know. So your company emphasizes customized or bespoke coaching rather than applying the same formula to every client. Three steps to success, that type of stuff.
Right.
That's what you do not do. How did that philosophy develop, and has it made your business more difficult to scale, less difficult to scale, since everything is bespoke?
I would say that's, I guess, scaling is relative, right?
Yeah.
Meaning it's very difficult to scale on how most individuals scale today, right? And what they do now, most coaches, what they do is they drop hundreds of people in a mastermind and says, okay, we're going to drop in every once in a while and we're going to give you some motivational things and we'll help you out, and everybody get a little movement here and there. And they're like, wow, woo. And they make a lot of money by doing that, which is fine. If that's their model, I love it. Keep going. That's not my model. My model is, it's only way I can scale is teach somebody else what I do. And that's the bespoke way, meaning because of the fact that when a client comes to me, Mike, I want them to get results, and I want them to get results quickly. And the average time that we spend together, one-to-one, is about 18 hours. Meaning we do what I call a mindset reset, which is about 8 hours, 4 hours one day and 4 hours the next day. And then we do 10 individual coaching sessions. By the time we get to the 6th or 7th coaching session, they are like on fire. They're like, oh my God, Curtis, the way I'm showing up now is totally different than I was before. One of the gentlemen I was working with, he was like scared to death. He was like frightened. He used to go in cold sweats just to get in when he got in front of a crowd. And he couldn't go to parties unless he took a Xanax or something to kind of calm himself down. Then as soon as we finished the one-day mindset reset, he showed up like, I'm showing up and I'm not feeling anything in my body. And he says, this is what he said, I'm cool as a cucumber. So the difference is that I don't want to talk about it. I don't have time to talk about it. I don't need to know about it. Basically, my job to you is to fix it quickly. So the bespoke is that now we have two clients. One, we all use a framework. I use a framework, right? I have a start point and an ending point and all the things in between. The difference is that what you need today, Mike, might be something totally different than my client tomorrow. And so I can't be like, oh my God, we got to go to, if I go to point A and point B, you missed B. No, they might go to C or they might go to D or they might go anywhere. Then, so one of my teachers always says, you follow the client wherever they go, and we'll get you there. and you might need some extra this or extra that. You might need a little bit more salt, or you might need a little bit more of this, whatever that is that you need. That's bespoke because of the fact that if I drop you into a container of 100 other guys, and this is the catch, the way the brain works is that we can only process consciously about 50 bits of information at a time, and then 11 million bits are down beneath. What 50 bits are you gonna be speaking to? In my 50 bits, it's gonna be totally different than yours.
Right.
And so it's like I won't get what I need. I might feel good for a while, and it does. I mean, I went to a Tony Robbins seminar 35 years ago when I first started, and even that anchor is still there. When I walked across those hot codes, saying kumas, 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 and then the next week, 2 weeks later, I'm like, who?
Right.
You know, it was motivational at the time, but did it change my behavior?
Right.
In the moment. It's very motivational. You feel good. And then we look up and says, okay, now you're more motivated going in the wrong direction than you were before. So the difference in the bespoke is the fact that we want to talk to you, Mike. We want to talk to your 50 bits. We want to talk to your 11 million bits because yours is different than the next guy's. And so that's the catch, is that can I scale to differently? I have to figure that part out. And I think about it all the time is, okay, how can I scale doing what I do at the way I see it, and I feel really good about it? And I don't feel good about big masterminds and all of this stuff. I don't. Maybe I could do something that add-ons, you know, after a person goes through what they've gone with me, then we can talk about something like that. But as far as the initial breakthrough, me changing or you changing yourself on an individual level, that part is just what it is. And I love it, though.
Yeah, you can't be one size fits all, because the term all is a misnomer. There is no all, right?
No
You
all.
are bespoke because your customers are bespoke. No two are the same, right? If there's 11 million bits and only 50 make it up here, statistically, there'll be millions of people that will never share the same 50 bits, right? So
No way.
you have to be bespoke.
It's interesting is that I was in one of my the classes is that, and the instructor says, okay, everybody write down 5 things what sex means to you, right? 5 items, what does sex means to you, or what does love mean to you, whatever it was. It was 5. And everybody in the class, no one in the class had the same list of 5.
Right.
Nobody. And so if I'm talking to you, even if I said right now, if I told you one of my highest values, Mike, in business is love, what would be the first thing that came to your mind about what love is?
Well, it would be a deep embrace, a deep caring of making a difference in someone's life, like you would a child or a spouse or partner.
Right. And that comes from your belief system. And
the next podcast host is gonna answer that completely different, right?
Right. Well, and this is mine. When I say love, it's transference of energy that connects to the heart.
There you go. I'm going to say that next time. That'll be mine next time. I like that better.
But I'm saying, the meaning, the reason I wanted us to talk about that is when you come from your perception of the world, you're going to use words, terminologies, and labels that really match who you are.
Yeah, right.
And my job is not to change what you said. My job as a facilitator is to go into your world and figure out how you define your world, so that now we can, if we need to redefine it, we can redefine it. But I can't put my words in your mouth because they don't fit.
Yeah. Well, it's something I learned a long time ago. Well, not that long ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago, was everything that I experience, reactions from other people, from customers, from vendors, from employees, partners, is really a mirror back to me. And
Yes.
and it's not them, it's me. And if I am talking to Curtis and Curtis is being a total a-hole to me,
Right.
there's something in me that's reflecting off of you, bouncing back to me. It is a me problem. It is almost never a Curtis problem. It's a me problem. And I had to learn a lot of things about myself that I wasn't real happy about because of just the reactions I was getting and the results I was getting was really a mirror back to me. It was again, those twisted little business gods up there saying, okay, show him this. Put a mirror
Right.
in front of every person he talks to, in front of every challenge he faces. It's a mirror back to Mike. And
Right.
once I think I realized that, I stopped trying to fix other things, other people, other events, other realities, and started reacting different and thinking different about thinking different. And
Yeah.
and that was kind of the beginning of a fairly long transformation for me. And it never stops. You talked earlier about business being difficult or the perception that business is difficult. And yeah, I mean that's a valid perception. But I think what most entrepreneurs don't realize is when someone starts a company, they've subconsciously enrolled in a PhD course, but not at a university with brick and mortar. There's no frat houses or sorority girls, and there's actually no graduation date. It's a
Right.
school of life, and a lot of the challenges we face are simply curriculum. And every business founder faces almost near identical challenges, expressed differently, but
Yes.
the root is the same. And and we think business is hard, and really we are the ones making it hard, and because we're fighting against what our expectations are. At least that's what I did. That's the world according to Mike. As
Right.
someone who helps others confront limiting beliefs, what fears, doubts, or internal barriers did you have to overcome while building your own company?
When it went back to it was still one of the biggest ones for me, Mike, is being authentic, being authentically Curtis, right? Because when you start business, when I started this thing 5-6 years ago, everybody was shitting all over me. You should do this. You should do that. You should do this. You should do this. Look, you need to post every day. You need to post every week. You
I
need to do
like
this.
that.
You
They
need
were
to,
shooting all over you.
they were
You got to
shitting,
enunciate that one quite carefully. But yes, they were shooting all over you.
should,
I
they
love
were
that.
shitting
Yes.
all over me.
Well,
Like what you
I think
should
the other word
do.
applies too, because that's what happens. But yeah, that's
Well, eventually that's what I figured was happening because I looked
yeah,
at my shoe. I'm like, oh my God, it's all
yeah,
over my shoe.
all over my yeah, exactly.
What I'm saying is that so what I made a decision, I had to make a decision. It's like, okay, stop it. Time out. That's not me. I'm going to post the way I want to post. I want to say what I want to say. I'm going to be authentically Curtis. And one of the affirmations I created for myself is like, I'm looking for individuals who are looking for me. And being authentically Curtis is more than enough. So it's like, you know what? Do you like my style? No, that's fine. Thank you. I'm not looking for you and you're not looking for me and we're okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
We as a company kind of came to the same conclusion that we were trying to create an image that wasn't authentically us, and we did so obnoxiously, and through totally obnoxious ads and marketing strategies and things like that. And what I realized was like attracts like. We
oh
put
yeah.
out that stuff, we're going to get that stuff right back. And we couldn't figure out why we had all these toxic customers who wouldn't pay us and all that. It's because we were, again, mirror to me, right?
Yes.
It was me attracting people like I was behaving, and
Yes.
it wasn't authentic. And one thing I learned also is one of the most profitable words in a business is frequently no. It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
Right? And when we just started changing our marketing strategy to that of education and providing value with no expectation of the outcome, which is really hard for the sales guy,
Yeah.
to get their head around. When we were unattached to the outcome, we just put out valuable information. We just wanted to educate. We just wanted to make an impact in our industry. We started attracting customers that were attracted to that. And
Yes.
and almost overnight, Curtis, the type of customer we were attracting changed. And we went from transactional to relational in a very short period of time. And that was incredibly scary to do because that's not the way we had done it for the first 15 years or so.
Right.
And looking back, I think we were doing good, not because of our strategies, but in spite of our strategies.
Yes.
And when we let go of our fear of missing out, or FOMO, and stopped making fear-based decisions and just started making what we would consider great decisions, and then use the revenue and the market share and the profit as a scorecard rather than a goal, then we can fine-tune the decisions we were making if the scorecard wasn't acceptable. Rather than saying, we're going to grow to 7 figures, we're going to grow to 8 figures, we want to hit this target, we want to have a certain percentage market share. We could attack those things individually and perhaps succeed on those individual KPIs, but we would negatively affect all the other KPIs in doing it. And
Right.
so I love your take on that. You frequently use the term blind spots. What does an entrepreneur blind spot look like? And how can someone recognize the pattern they're unable to see clearly on their own? I mean, you can't see a blind spot because it's a blind spot, right? You don't know what you're not seeing, right?
Right. The blind spot is a blind spot, and usually a blind spot shows up like this. I use this as an analogy of a blind spot. Is that you're on your way? I mean, I'm here in California, so I'm on the freeway here in California, and I'm driving on the freeway, and somebody cuts me off, right? Not intentionally, they just cut me off. And so the reaction for that is a normal reaction without having baggage or blind spot there is, oh, shoot, they cut me off. Man, they almost hit me. I could have had an accident. That's normal. An abnormal blind spot reaction would be, or start throwing up fingers, even like now I'm going to start to like get my car and go up behind them, road rage. And I might I might even reach in my glove box and pull out my gun and says, hey, if you ever do that again, yada, yada, yada. That's blind spot, meaning like the way we react or the way we respond to a situation usually is an indication that there is a blind spot. So if you are responding or react more like a reaction to a situation where it should just have been, oh, shoot, they cut me off. That's fine. If you're reacting like, oh my God, they cut me off, and then all day long, that's all you're talking about. So everybody you can stop and everybody you can send message to, even, you have a whatever you're doing, you're texting, you're telling them, you know what happened to me today? This guy cut me off, yada, yada.
Yeah.
That's a blind spot. Usually that's an indication that there's baggage there, so that's a blind spot. And the other one is the fact that you're just not there. I mean, like you said before, I love some of the things you shared with me earlier, is the fact that how you realize that you weren't authentically you, and your company wasn't authentically being, and you were mirroring and people you were actually attracting people that you didn't want to attract until you stopped the behavior. But you had the wherewithal and not so fear-based that you was willing to take that change. And it took time for you to kind of, your subconscious to catch up with that, because it takes time for it to kind of like marinate and move forward and kind of like, oh, okay, this is the new behavior that we're going to be taking on. And so it becomes okay with that. So blind spots are normally, like I said before, shows up in the way we react versus respond to a situation.
Yeah. Entrepreneurs often assume that burnout means they're just working too hard, right? That's an easy assumption. How can they distinguish between exhaustion caused by workload and exhaustion driven by fear, perfectionism, chronic pressure, or unresolved emotional patterns?
Usually it's because this is the at the end of the day, Mike, this is the thing that I believe. Right, wrong, you could take it, leave it, and throw it in the trash. What my hypnotherapist used to tell me is that we all have baggage. Period. It's like it's like we all come with baggage. The question is it heavy enough that we really to get rid of it? So it's not whether or not that we're carrying baggage. Is the fact is whether or not we're willing to acknowledge it and said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got to get this thing off my back so I can have some lightness. So for me, when I'm look at most situations, we're all experiencing. So burnout usually happens is because of the fact that we're still running on that 5%. We talked about it earlier. It's like, okay, 5% of our mind is conscious and 95% is subconscious. So 5% runs the 50 bits and in the subconscious run 11 million bits. And so we're running on the 50 bits. And that's why we feel the burnout, because of the fact that we're struggling, we're grinding to keep pushing to try to make ourselves do something that our subconscious keeps rejecting. So it comes to a point where usually people come to me when they says, okay, I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. I want a change. I know that there's a change out there. I just don't know what it is. And that's kind of, to me, the burnout part of it is you've been grinding, usually 15, 20 years. You've had some success, but there's still something that's stopping you from going to the next level. Or you look back, you had a lot of success in a lot of areas of your life, and your relationships with your spouse or with your significant other is damaged. Or now you have that fear of, oh my God, if I stop this grind, I'm going to lose everything. That's that to me, when you feel that, because I can't tell you when it is, you know within yourself what it is, when it is.
You described LGET as learning, growing, expanding, and transforming. Walk us through that framework. What happens during each stage? How does someone know they're making genuine progress rather than simply feeling temporarily inspired, as you did when you walked across the coals?
Basically, and when I'm looking at the legit mindset, right, what we're talking about learning is understanding the power of our subconscious mind and learning what all the old behaviors that we're currently willing to let go of. It's like, so usually when a person comes to me doing that framework, we spend about 2 hours looking for the greater problem, learning about who we are, understanding the subconscious mind, understanding the gestalt, understanding all these patterns, understanding how all this stuff works, and then where is it located in your life. So what what we call light up the neural network so they can see it. Oh my God. Oh, this is the first time I felt like, for me, would be, the first time I felt like success was hard and difficult was not when I thought it was. Oh, it was at 2. Oh, and it also showed up at age 16. Oh, I remember when I was running track, I felt that. Oh, I remember all these times. Now it's lit up. So that's the learning, is understanding who we are, and wherever we are on our journey is okay. The growth is now willing to let it go. Letting go of that which that old belief is. So when a leader or entrepreneur comes to me, they have to be willing to let go. The growth is letting go of that old identity, or who they thought they were, into who they truly are. So now we're letting go. Now what we're doing expansion is, now because we've let go of the baggage, we understand who we are, we have a clear slate. Now we can have this universal capacity for immeasurably more. So now when we have the growth and we're expanding, we can see, sense, and feel this expansion. Like you said before, I love what you said, is not doing or specifically knowing what it is being. You become. You said earlier, it was not more doing. You said our company became who we want, and then the growth, the doing, and the having came because of we became different. And that's the whole idea. Now we can say, I am these types of statements is that I am a visionary. I am an individual who consistently have this type of behavior. That's who I am. That's who this is being. And then the transformation is the consistency. And what we do different here at Bespoke is I create for you individual meditations that has been curated from all the learnings that we've garnered from our experiences during our session. And so now, because it's so important, and this is really important to the audience, is that when you change, you have to continue to condition a new behavior. And if you don't, you'll go back. That's just the way it is. It's almost like the way my wife put it on the episode we did together was like, it's equivalent to going out and working out really well. You got in shape, you've been working out and you feel real good. And he says, okay, I'm in shape now. I'm good.
Double it in and out time.
Yeah. And now, right. So going back to behavior, then guess what? Your body's going to fall back apart sooner or later. So what we believe is in conditioning, learning. So the transformation part of is now you learning the tools so that you can consistently condition your own mind on a continual basis. That's why you don't need me. I was talking to one of my clients the other day. I'm like, I really don't think you need me right now. I'll be happy to take your money, but I don't want your money because of the fact that you don't need me. You have it. Now, if you come to a point where sometimes even me, sometimes I can't see the label because I'm inside the jar. So I can't see some things that's happening with my own life. So I need help outside. And we all come to those points, but I don't believe in 3 or 4 or 5 year coaching contracts. That means I'm not doing my job.
Right.
You haven't grown. I mean, you actually are dependent on me for your change. I don't want you dependent on me for your change. I want you to depend on yourself. It's your responsibility to change. My job is to facilitate, and you do all the change. And if you're doing it, that means you know how to redo it. If I teach you how to do it, now it's like what I was saying. If I teach you how to fish, now you know how to fish. You can do it.
Exactly.
That's the whole idea behind all of this. So that's kind of the legit mindset of learning, growing, expanding, and transforming.
What practical exercise can an entrepreneur use to identify a belief or internal narrative that may be influencing a current business decision?
What I always tell individuals is that this is a really easy method that I teach my clients also is, number one, this is what I tell them first, it's okay not to be okay. But it's not okay to pretend you're okay and you're not. One of the challenges as entrepreneurs and as founders and as high-sprung leaders is the fact that we don't want to admit that I'm not okay. I don't want to admit that I'm feeling fear. I don't want to admit that I'm feeling sadness. I don't want to admit that I'm feeling anger. Now, so the first thing that I tell individuals to do is, number one, is okay to admit that you're not okay. Back in the day, when I was growing up and motivational, they used to tell us, like, it's raining outside, right? They say, it's raining, but think in your mind. It's not raining, it's sunshine. Well, heck, no, it's raining outside. It's okay for me to acknowledge the rain. And if it's raining, it's raining. Now, since I know it's raining, I can make a decision. The decision is, I need to get to point A to point B out in the rain. So I have a couple of things I can do. Number one is that I can put on my rain garments, my galoshes, my umbrella, and says, I got to get out there because I got to fight the rain. I might feel whimsical and says, you know what? I got to get to point A to point B, but I want to feel whimsical. So I'm just going to go out and have fun in the rain and splash in the puddles and let myself get wet. Then I have a change of clothes. And when I get there, I can be okay. Or I can say, you know what? It's raining outside. How productive I can be inside today and still get the job done. So the first part of it is acknowledging what it is that you're actually feeling. And it normally comes in the body somewhere, form, or fashion. And it's okay. And this is what the second step I tell people to do is not to identify with it. What I mean by that is, when I'm saying that I'm feeling fear, listen to the linguistics of that. I'm feeling fear. I didn't say I was fearful. I don't attach a label to it. I
Right.
just allow it to acknowledge it without judgment. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm experiencing. Then what I tell them to do is now do some diaphragmatic breathing. Put one hand on your chest and one hand on your diaphragm, and your diaphragm should expand up. Hold it for about, expand up for about a count of 4, hold it for about a count of 7, and then exhale through your mouth gently, the slightly parted lips for kind of about 8. What does that do? What that does, it now puts the body where it feels safe. The parasympathetic nervous system is now activated. Now you feel safe. You can relax. You can't think when you are in fight or flight. Most owners they're in fight or flight all the time. No, stop. Stop it. Take some deep breathing, because most people die in fires not because of the fire. They die in fires because they are in fight or flight and they can't see the exit. But if you stop, look around and see the exit, now you know where to go. You can do that calmly. So once we put our bodies back out of fight or flight into parasympathetic nervous system is activated, now ask yourself the question, what is it that I need right now? What can I do right now? How can I approach this right now? One thing I tell people not to do is ask yourself why questions. Why am I feeling like this? Well, because your subconscious mind
What's
will
the
think,
reason I feel like this, right?
what? Yeah, what? Not why. Because
Yeah.
why questions, your subconscious mind will
Yeah.
go deep down in your subconscious and say, you remember when you were 3 years old that's why.
Right.
I don't need the why stuff. Ask yourself what questions.
Yeah.
And then just sit there and allow the information to come. I think you said it perfectly earlier today. It's like your higher self told you this is not the right direction to go in, and you had a choice. You had a choice of to fight it, or you had a choice to do what you felt like was right, and you did what you felt like was right, and it was the right decision. And usually when your higher self tells you something in those moments, those are the right decisions. And sometimes it doesn't come to you immediately, but it's coming. So, and this is the creative thing about it, Mike. It might be something that you're like, what the heck was that? And what came to you was, call Mike. Why Mike? Just call him. And just so happen they pick up the phone, they call you at the right time, at the right moment, because you were looking for them, and your subconscious mind and your higher self told you to do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't by accident. It was because of the fact that you had this connection that you asked for, and your reticular activating system in your mind started to find the answers for you, and they led you to that point, that time. And people just need to take inspired actions, move it, do something with that.
I can't tell you how many times, Curtis, working with a mentor, she would give me some advice, which was just absolutely crazy. It was nuts. And I just like, but she taught me one particular skill, which I've kept with me, and that was consider the possibilities. Just consider the possibilities. So instead of saying to her, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard, I would go, wow, okay, I don't know what to do with that. It's not landing in any of my rational, so-called rational thinking, but I created this space in my head. I call it a file cabinet, and I put it in the consider the possibility file. And I can't tell you how many times, probably every time, I took what I thought was a nutty, crazy, stupid idea, and within a few months, sometimes a few days, sometimes a few years, I'd pull it out of the file and go, oh my God, this makes perfect sense. I was not ready. I needed more context. I needed more experience. I needed to hit a few walls. I needed to be hit over the head with a 2x4 whack-a-mole thing. And everything that I radically changed in the way I ran a business and in the way I ran me was shown to me previously, and I rejected it because I wasn't ready. And again, going back to the business gods, I've given them some grief. They can be twisted, but they're also patient. To me, I can just imagine this conversation. Hey, has Mike made that decision yet? No, he's being stubborn. All right, just
Okay.
slowly
Yeah.
turn up the heat a little bit, and
There you go. That's the
check
learning
on him
part.
in a
That's
few
the learning
months.
part. That's
Exactly,
the
it's the learning
that's
part.
the
Yeah,
learning part.
yeah,
That's exactly what that is. It's like, hey, in order for you to move to the next level, you have to learn it. That's what the subconscious mind releases the negative energy around it once you like I got it. It's like, for me was you are courageous and you are persistent. That was the learning that I got from that 2-year-old boy.
yeah,
Oh, it's like, oh my God. So it's not hard and difficult. Not that it's not sometimes a little bit hard and difficult. That's different. My belief was that everything was hard and difficult. So, like you're saying before, is that once we get that learning and we have it faster. Now, this is the difference is, Mike, when a person is working with me, we get there in lightning speed. Meaning you don't have to go at it for years and years and years
yeah,
until you get it. The difference is that once we determine that's what it is, then we can immediately get a learning from it, and the behavior automatically changes, and then they're on their way much faster and quicker. And that's what people understand. What I do, you do naturally. The difference is that how long you want to work with it. It's like, okay, you want it slow or you want it fast? You want it going get so that's the difference is that people all we can all get there eventually because what I do is just what I do, but people have been very successful way before me. One of my teachers says all learnings are not in my school. I mean, people learn everywhere, so it doesn't matter. But when they're working with people who understand how this stuff works, we can get that faster, quicker, and easier in lightning speed.
yeah. Last question, because we're about out of time. How did you define success? How did Curtis define success way back in his early career? And how do you define success now?
Way back when is what I accomplished. How hard did I work? It was like, wow, and that was the success for me. Like, I remember even when I was in high school, I worked really hard to become number one in the state in the quarter mile. And I worked at it, worked hard, And so for me, success was grinding hard and seeing the results. Success for me today is thinking and imagining and allowing myself to now be guided to that immeasurably more that I know I'm capable of. And my universal capacity principle is that I think from Think and Grow Rich, it talks about whatever it says, it actually says that we are able to do immeasurably more than we ardently ask, or really passionately think about, according to the power that works within us. That's actually coming from a scripture that I love from Ephesians 3:20, and I just coined it as the universal capacity principle, is that now it's all about thinking. If I can think it, then my actions and reactions are now going to respond to how I'm thinking. And it's going to get me there one way or the other. This one thing about thinking, guys, it's a two-edged sword. If you're getting a lot of junk in your life, if you're getting a lot of heartaches, pains, if you are attracting a lot of disappointments and betrayals, what are you thinking about? What are you actually desiring? And some people don't even know how to ask. And they ask, like, this is what sometimes people come in. I said, what do you want? What I don't want is this. Well, guess what you're going to get?
Because that's what you're thinking about.
Want.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So yeah, so the difference now between the guy is working really hard, stressing out, grinding hard. Now every day I start my day with, okay, who am I? I am the version of the person that consistently generates the type of income that I desire. That's how I start my day. So now who I am, who I'm becoming, That's that guy. How do I do that? I do that by I share my transformation facilitation and consistently and execute my business acumen. That's who I am. That's who I'm becoming. And so now that's the picture. And so now what's happening now, things are just coming to me, not working harder. It's just thinking better, which creates more momentum and more growth and more things to do. And I'm doing it with ease. That's the difference.
Well, I'm afraid to admit that I have just recently filled my head with negative stuff, and that is this conversation is about over because we're out of time. So, Curtis, I really appreciate you spending time with me today and my audience. Thanks for sharing your journey. For my audience that would like to get more information on Bespoke Human Potential Coaching, and I think you have a podcast as well. If I remember correctly, I'll put all that information in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, look right down here, right below me where it says see more, and that information will be there so you'll know how to get a hold of Curtis through his company and watch his podcast and all the other things he's up to. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, go to your podcast app, look at the show notes, and all of Curtis's contact information in terms of URL and all that will be there. So, Curtis, continued success to you. I hope our paths cross again. I really enjoyed this conversation. You are definitely inspirational. You do have a gift, much like your father did. And I think you're saving some business souls along the way. So thanks for all the work you do.
I appreciate it, Mike. I mean, I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to share with your audience, and that we can help one person really to just kind of see, sense, and feel that they have all the resources within them to become the best version of themselves. So we're not trying to make you new. We're just trying to make you, who you genuinely are. That's the whole idea. Not a new person, just a you person, that unique individual that came to this earth with his dreams, goals, and desires. We just want to uncover that person so that you can become the best version of yourself.
And people who are a little bit hesitant to maybe work with you, I think it's a safe assumption that you're not going to make them walk across coals.
And no, I'm not. And I'm not going to pull it. I'm not going to be pulling anyone. This is the thing about me. Working with me is this. It's black or white. It's like, hey, you do or not. I'm not going to push you because I don't work with this. I tell people all the time, Mike, and on closing, I say, look, I don't want you to mess with my track record. So if you're not ready to really do change, that's okay. Stay where you are.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people like, oh my God, I went to Curtis and it wasn't me, it was you, because I don't do any changing anyway. So if you're not ready, that's okay. I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to push you. I'm not going to prod you. Nope, that's not my style.
You're not an accountability coach. You're not there
to I am not force. An accountability coach. I am a mindset coach that's you ready to change, and I'm going to help you. I'm a facilitator. I'm going to facilitate your change. And boy, what a great transformation you will experience.
Hold on for the ride. All right. Excellent. Well, thanks again, Curtis. I really appreciate all the time and wisdom that you shared, a lot of generous time. So I really appreciate you sticking in this long. And you're a great asset to the business community, entrepreneurial community, the human community. And I appreciate, and my community. Thanks for being part of that.
You're welcome.
Okay, here are some final thoughts. Entrepreneurs are often excellent at identifying problems involving products, people, processes, and finances. We examine the market, adjust the strategy, change the messaging, hire another consultant, or simply work longer hours. What we're often less willing to examine is the person making all those decisions. Our experiences influence what we notice, what we fear, what we tolerate, and what we believe is possible. They can also affect how we lead, how we respond to pressure, and whether we view an opportunity as exciting or threatening. That doesn't mean every business problem can be solved through positive thinking or that strategy and execution no longer matter. Businesses still need customers, cash flow, capable people, and disciplined leadership. But even the best strategy can be undermined when the person responsible for carrying it out is exhausted, fearful, or unconsciously repeating the same patterns. Perhaps growth isn't always about adding another tactic, another goal, or another responsibility. Sometimes the next stage begins by recognizing what we've been carrying and deciding whether we still need to carry it. Now, that's a wrap. Thanks for being part of our Reluctant Entrepreneur family. We've been very busy recording future episodes with amazing guests, so be sure to subscribe to get notified when new episodes drop. If you're an entrepreneur or know someone who would make a great guest, of course, we'd love to hear from you. Visit reluctantentrepreneur.podcast.com, where you can apply or recommend a guest or just learn more about the show. And don't forget to check out my newest series, Reluctant Lessons When Businesses Go Wrong. On this series, we dig into high-profile business failures and the story behind it all. We've already profiled several companies with many more on the way. As it turns out, there's no shortage. Check out Reluctant Lessons on this channel. And if you're interested in my book, The Reluctant Entrepreneur, Anatomy of a Business Startup from Uncertainty to Unstoppable, it's available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon and as an audiobook on both Audible and Amazon. And finally, to everyone listening or watching, if you find yourself stepping into entrepreneurship, whether that's by choice or by circumstance, remember this: sometimes the path we never planned becomes the journey we were meant to take. Thank you all so much for being here. I truly appreciate every one of you, and I'll see you again soon.